What's their name?
Hi, this is Aurora Folks from the Nocturnal. How are you doing today?
All right, how you doing?
Doing good. I'm doing good. So many people like myself will remember you as Chidi from The Good Place, the adorable character everyone loved. It's a complete 180 from your character Royal in this series. How did you find yourself connecting to this role?
Well, I think that there's a lot of things in Royal that I wish I was. I feel like he's very he's confident. He's very clear about what is right and wrong and what the plan of action is. One of these people that's not afraid to maintain eye contact with someone for a long time. There's things that I wanted to things that I wish I was and things that I hope to become at some point in my life. That's what attracted me, and also just the fact that he's a man sort of ahead of his time in this moment in this story. It's like the world says that this is what is allotted to black people, and he's like, no, I disagree, and I'm not going to live that way. And so that sort of just clarity of purpose is something that is really attractive. And yeah, so it's like I guess when it comes to Royal, it's a lot of things that I aspire to.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I think what I really loved about this series is contrary to its depiction of slavery in the South, it doesn't focus primarily on Black trauma, but rather Black victory. So, what other elements about this project kind of made you gravitate towards it?
Well, I think you just hit on it. The fact that it's actually more about resistance than endurance,
Right.
and I think that's inspiring to me. And I think that while the piece does sort of focus more for me, it focuses more on resistance. It still dives into the truth of how evil and brutal slavery was and doesn't shy away from showing that brutality as well. And so, I like that. um I just I'm just inspired by it, and it's different. It made reading the book, which I was really afraid of, a much more digestible thing,
Hmm.
to have the black characters have all of the agency and decide to change their circumstances.
I agree, and I loved how you could really just get a sense for every character in the series. It wasn't just stuck to one character. Everyone had a story, which is really nice.
Yeah.
But something I noticed I read about you, you actually said that you felt triggered in recreating certain scenes in the series. I think Tusa, who actually plays Cora in the series, even said that there were bowling nights for the cast to kind of lighten the mood. How did you find yourself working through some of these really intense scenes?
Well, definitely the bowling nights, the karaoke nights, the top golf where Tuso would throw her club out into the middle of the green, like all sorts of stuff like that. Like that helps. But then the other part of it
Right.
is being able to uh, just shake it off in between takes, as long as it doesn't sacrifice the integrity of the scene. And for me, I was particularly triggered on this in this one scene that we were shooting, and I just had to sort of remind myself that we're all on the same team. We're all trying to tell this story as truthfully as we can, and sort of just being able to like dap up my scene partner after certain things had happened. It was just sort of like, all right, cool, right, we're right, we're all on the same team, and it's everything feels so real because our props and our costumes were just they were so real that it didn't take anything to drop right back in.
I see, I see. I feel like there was a sense of having to remain present and kind of separate the two when you are done shooting a scene.
Yeah.
'Cause I can't imagine it's really hard to do, but you guys did an excellent job from what I saw. And this project itself, I read that it was actually years in the making since 2016, and that it was shot just before the pandemic kind of shut everything down. So, what was that process like shooting during that time?
It's really funny because it's like we, it's so weird to look back on the time before the pandemic when we were all like, oh wow, this is kind of scary, but I guess we'll be fine.
Right.
And just to be going about our daily lives, it's so odd, but honestly, it was just we were just living life and doing things, you know, and trying to finish this story and tell this story as truthfully as possible. Like that's what we wanted to do. And the pandemic was so far from, at least from my mind,
Right.
and I actually finished everything out before. I was wrapped before the pandemic hit, and
Oh, okay.
yeah, and so it
Left
was.
out.
I lucked out in that way, but yeah, it's kind of surreal to look back at that time and to see what the year has brought upon all of us. It's you know, I'm just really thankful that so many people that I know have pulled through it, and that's the thing that's on my mind all the time now.
I agree. And I thank you so, so much for your time. Thank you for sitting down with us today.
No, thank you.
How are you doing today?
Good. How you doing?
I'm doing really well. So let's just jump right into this. You have worked on a number of on and off screen roles and even getting in the director's chair a few times. At this point in your career, what types of projects get a yes from you? And what was it about this series that did?
Oh, look, I'm always looking to be in safe hands. I think that whatever kind of actor you are, and whoever, you're only as good as the subject, the script, plus the director, all of those things. So, I could act my way in a bubble and whatever, but I'm only going to work if I'm only going to. It's only going to work for me and be good if I have a good director shaping me and a good story guiding me. And Barry was someone I've been hearing about. I've been watching him, and I've been like, that's a guy I'd like to line up to work with. The character made me really, really reticent in some ways, because I thought, for all my intentions of wanting to play villains, is this really the kind of villain that, be careful what you wish for? But because of Barry, I was willing to go there. And I think this story is such an epic journey, so special and heroic in its own way, that even by playing the villain, you could participate in something heroic, in something special.
Yes, absolutely. And the series itself was based on Colson Whitehead's 2016 novel. And a lot of his story I read was actually drawn from secondhand accounts, or kind of like an oral history. So what kind of resources did you feel like you had to draw from in order to build your character story?
Well, I definitely feel like you watch it, and as much as Core is a fictional character, you do feel like the DNA of real stuff is the foundation for everything in this show. Um, I've done a lot of research about American modern history in regards to slavery and pre-Civil War, um, and that was one aspect. For me, the other aspect was really understanding Ridgway the man, and I think whether you're doing a medieval story or a story set in space, whatever it is, that we were all driven by our relationships and shaped by our relationships with family. And I think one of the real strengths of this show is, Cora's relationship with her mother is a real engine for how she moves through her experiences, not just towards freedom, but trying to answer questions that are very valid, that that allow her to experience hope or to feel despair, are all hinging on her relationship with the mother. And Ridgway's relationship with his father is going to affect Cora's well-being, because his sense of feeling ashamed of by his father and feeling a failure is going to mean that he won't fail in his determination to bring Cora back. So sadly, Cora is affected by Ridgway's relationship with his own father. And I think these family things are the things that really provide a real anchor point and engine for me when I come to approach character. Certainly with this, I thought it was rendered so well in the novel and by Barry in his screenplays.
I agree. It was a great connection between those characters. And I liked how every character kind of stood alone and they all had a story. So that was really wonderful. And thank you
Yeah.
so, so much for sitting down with us. I appreciate your time. Thank you.